The police are investigating your area. An arrest is about to. Before your mind can decide whether to believe or turn away, before your heart can protect itself with logic, listen quietly. Do not rush. Do not share this with anyone yet. Let it sit with you like a breath held gently in the chest. What I am about to say is not meant to frighten you, and it is not about the world outside in the way you might first imagine. It is deeper than that. It begins in silence, not sirens. My child, I am close to you now. Closer than your thoughts. Closer than the room you are sitting in. I did not come with noise. I did not come to accuse. I came because you have been sensing something without words, a pressure in the air, a feeling that something is shifting, that the familiar ground beneath you is no longer solid. That feeling is real. But understand this clearly from the beginning, this is not a punishment, and you are not in danger. This is an awakening. You hear the words, investigation, and arrest, and fear tries to rise. But fear is not the language of heaven. Heaven uses truth, and truth often feels intense before it feels freeing. What is being investigated is not your body, not your home, not your life in the human sense. What is being searched is the hidden weight you have carried inside for too long. The false charges you placed against yourself. The old stories that were never true but kept repeating until they felt like facts. There is a kind of justice that does not use handcuffs. There is a kind of arrest that does not take you away, but brings you back to yourself. For a long time, you have lived under silent pressure. You tried to be good. You tried to be strong. You tried to survive without making noise. You learned to explain yourself, to defend your heart, to stay alert even in moments that should have been safe. Over time, that alertness became a prison you didn't realize you were inside. You called it responsibility. You called it maturity. You called it fate. But heaven calls it something else, a burden you were never meant to carry alone. Now the light is moving through your inner world, and light does not sneak. It reveals. It asks questions. It looks into corners you avoided because you were tired. That is why it feels like an investigation. Not because you are wrong, but because you are ready to be honest in a new way. The arrest, you sense, is the stopping of something old. The stopping of self-blame. The stopping of fear-driven patterns. The stopping of lies that told you you must always be on guard, always proving, always earning love or safety. Those patterns have run long enough. Heaven has issued a quiet order, and it is firm but gentle. This cannot continue. I know part of you is scared because you have seen what happens when truth comes out in the human world. You have learned that exposure can hurt. But divine exposure heals. It does not shame. It does not humiliate. It does not destroy what is innocent. It only removes what is false. You are not being taken away from your life. You are being released back into it. Think of how tired you have been. Not just physically, but in your soul. Think of how often you replayed conversations, imagined outcomes, prepared for disasters that never came. Think of how your body learned to stay tense even when nothing was happening. That constant readiness was never meant to be permanent. It was a temporary shield that overstayed its time. Now heaven is saying, enough. Rest is allowed. Peace is permitted. You do not have to monitor every possibility anymore. You are not required to live on high alert as if danger were hiding behind every door. You are not responsible for predicting every outcome or rehearsing every worst-case scenario in your mind. You are not the guardian of the universe. You are a beloved soul who has been overworking your heart, your nervous system, and your spirit for far too long. The time has come to lay down what was never your assignment: constant vigilance, constant tension, and constant self-blame. This is the moment where heaven steps in, not with accusation, but with a gentle hand on your shoulder that says, "You can stop now. You are safe enough to rest." What feels like an ending is actually a turning point. It may look like doors closing, plans failing, relationships shifting, or familiar patterns crumbling, but in the unseen realm, something sacred is being rearranged for your good. When something in your life is arrested by divine light, it is not a punishment, it is a loving intervention. It means that particular fear, habit, cycle, or story no longer has permission to dominate your path. It no longer gets to be the loudest voice in the room. Fear loses authority. Guilt loses its voice. The old accusations that once followed you like shadows begin to melt in the radiance of a higher truth. You are not on trial. You are being cleared. The sentence that hung over your head was never written by heaven in the first place. It was written by old pain, misunderstanding, and the harsh words of others that you unknowingly adopted as your own. Now those words are being crossed out, one, by a hand full of mercy and endless patience. You may notice strange things in the coming days, but they will not always be dramatic. There may be no lightning in the sky or booming voice in the night. The signs will be quieter, more intimate, woven into the fabric of your ordinary life. Your reactions may soften where they once erupted. Situations that used to send shockwaves through your body may now pass through like a gentle ripple, noticed but not overwhelming. You might find yourself pausing where you once panicked, breathing where you once braced, choosing patience where you once felt only dread. This is the evidence of change. This is the proof that something heavy has been stopped at the border of your being. What used to invade you without permission is now being held back by a presence that protects what is tender in you. You may feel emotional without having a clear reason. Old tears might rise without a new wound. Memories might surface not to torture you but to be released, like birds finally being let out of a cage one by one. You may find yourself unexpectedly calm in moments that would once have shattered you. You might notice that you speak to yourself with more kindness, as if a new inner voice has moved into your mind and is gently rearranging the furniture. All of this is part of the recalibration. Your heart is learning a new rhythm. Your mind is loosening its grip on the belief that tension equals safety. Your body is learning that relaxation is not laziness or danger, it is a natural state that your nervous system has long been denied. This tenderness, this strangeness, this unexplainable softening, this is healing in motion, not a sign that something is wrong. Do not resist this process by insisting on understanding it all at once. The human mind loves blueprints, explanations, step-by-step diagrams that guarantee an outcome. But spiritual renovation rarely comes with a map in advance. The understanding you crave will arrive later, when the dust has settled and your new way of being has had time to root itself. Right now, your task is simple and sacred: stay present. Let this moment be just this moment, not a projection of past pain or future fear. Breathe when fear tries to speak. Do not argue with it, do not negotiate with it, just keep returning to the breath that proves you are still here, still held, still carried. Ground yourself in what is real right now: the feeling of your feet on the floor, the support beneath your body, the air filling and leaving your lungs, the quiet fact that you have survived every single moment you once thought you would not endure. You are safe in more ways than your fear wants you to believe. You are seen in deeper ways than your shame wants to admit. You are not alone in this transition, even on the days when silence feels heavy and your phone stays quiet. There is a companionship that never logs out, never forgets you, never grows tired of your process. Heaven's attention does not flicker like human attention does. You are not an interruption or an inconvenience to the divine. Your healing is not too much or too slow. The unseen realm is not impatient with you. It celebrates every small release, every tiny loosening of an old knot, every sigh where once there was only holding and clenching. This journey you are on is not being measured by speed, but by sincerity. There is something you need to hear clearly, because your mind is skilled at twisting good news into more self-criticism. Heaven is not against you. Heaven is for you. Always has been. The divine heart has never delighted in your exhaustion, your anxiety, or your self-hatred. It has never applauded the harshness you turned inward in the name of discipline or strength. What is being removed from you now was never your true self. It was armor built from pain, from experiences that taught you, I must always be on guard, or I will be hurt again. That armor may have once helped you survive, but armor is not meant to be worn forever. Over time it becomes too heavy, too tight, and too limiting. It begins to cut into your skin and restrict your movement, making you believe that you are the weight you carry. Heaven is not stripping you to shame you. Heaven is gently unbuckling the straps that have been cutting into your soul. Piece by piece, layer by layer, the plates of that old protection are being set aside. Without the armor, you are not weaker, you are freer. You are discovering that vulnerability is not the same as exposure to danger. It is the space where genuine connection, joy, and ease can finally reach you. Your true self is not the one who flinches at every sound, apologizes for existing, or expects abandonment as a rule. Your true self is the one underneath, softer, steadier, more trusting, more open to love, more capable of receiving. That self is being remembered now, not created from scratch. Heaven is simply calling you back to who you were before the fear wrote its story across your life. You have survived experiences that taught you to expect loss. You learned, often through heartbreak and disappointment, that when something good appears, it might be temporary, fragile, or conditional. So you braced yourself. You learned to pre-grieve blessings, to emotionally rehearse their disappearance so it would hurt less if they were taken away. You trained yourself to interpret every change as a potential threat. If something shifts, then something will be lost, and if something is lost, it must mean punishment, failure, or abandonment. This conditioning did not come from weakness, it came from a deep desire to protect your own heart. Yet now, that reflex to brace is being interrupted. This change that approaches you is not here to rob you, it is here to restore you. It is not coming to take something precious from your hands. It is coming to return something you lost so long ago you may barely remember how it felt: ease. Ease is not irresponsibility. Ease is not denial. Ease is not pretending that life holds no challenges. Ease is what happens when you stop living as though challenge automatically equals catastrophe. It is the subtle, holy permission to breathe even before things are fixed. It is the decision to trust that you can move through difficulty without attacking yourself. It is the quiet courage to say, I do not understand everything, but I am still held, still guided, still loved. Ease allows you to show up for your life without dragging 1,000 ancient fears into every room you enter. It allows your shoulders to drop, your jaw to unclench, your thoughts to slow enough that the voice of wisdom can be heard. You are not being asked to surrender your responsibilities, you are being invited to surrender the constant inner war around them. Let the old tension be questioned. Let the old fear be interrupted. Let the old narrative be detained and dissolved. You do not need to defend the story that says you are always one step from disaster, always on the edge of being rejected, always a mistake waiting to be exposed. That narrative feels familiar, but familiarity is not the same as truth. When divine light arrests a story you have told yourself for years, it means that story is no longer allowed to operate unchecked. It will be stopped at the threshold of your mind and asked, is this who you really are? Is this how heaven truly sees you? If the answer is no, then the story is escorted out, not with violence, but with firmness and love. This is not collapse. This is correction. The crumbling you sense is not the destruction of your essence, it is the dismantling of the structures that kept your essence trapped. This is alignment with what has always been true about you, even when you could not feel it. Alignment can feel disorienting at first, because you are so used to walking with a limp that walking upright feels strange. You may miss the weight on your back because you wore it for so long it became part of your posture. But as the correction continues, you will begin to notice that you have more energy, more clarity, more capacity for joy than you thought you were allowed to have. You will realize that the collapse you feared was actually the falling away of what could no longer support who you are becoming. Through all of this, you are not being left to manage alone. The voice that speaks to you now is not one that delivers a message from a distance and then disappears into silence. It remains near, steady, watchful, gentle. You are accompanied in ways your physical senses cannot always register. When your thoughts start to spiral, there is a quiet pause available between them, like a small clearing in a dense forest where light reaches the ground. That pause is the presence of love. When your heart feels unsure, when questions rise faster than answers, there is a calm beneath those questions, like a deep, still lake beneath choppy surface waves. That calm is the reassurance that you are being guided even in uncertainty. This companionship will not demand that you perform. It will not require you to be endlessly strong or perpetually positive. Instead, it will meet you exactly where you are. In the middle of a restless night, in the hallway between tasks, in the car when you are stopped at a red light with tears in your eyes and you are not even sure why, there, in those unguarded moments, grace leans in. Sometimes it arrives as a sudden sense of warmth in your chest, a relaxing of tension in your body, a quiet thought like, "You are okay." even now. Sometimes it comes as a memory of a time you made it through what you were sure would destroy you. Sometimes it is a verse, a line, a phrase you once heard and long forgot, suddenly rising to the surface as if on cue. All of this is the gentle insistence of heaven saying, I am still here. I have not walked away. Nothing is wrong with you for feeling tired. Nothing is wrong with you for being anxious at times, for struggling to trust, for needing reassurance more than once. These patterns are not proof that you are broken beyond repair, they are evidence that you have carried more than anyone could see. Nothing is about to ruin your life. The fear that disaster is always hiding around the next corner is being dissolved, not confirmed. Something is about to free your life in ways that will only fully make sense in hindsight. Freedom does not always begin with fireworks. Sometimes it begins with small, almost unnoticeable choices to speak to yourself more kindly, to say no when every trauma in you wants to say yes, to rest when old guilt tells you that you have not earned it. You do not need to rush this becoming. Stay with this truth: you are not being punished, you are being prepared. You are not being stripped, you are being lightened. You are not being forgotten, you are being focused. Let this truth settle slowly, like soft rain soaking into dry ground. Your soul has been in drought for a long time, and deep roots do not drink all at once. They receive gently, steadily, over time. There is no timer counting down on your healing. The light works patiently. It is not impatient with your questions, your doubts, or your back and forth days. It will come back as many times as needed. It will knock on the same door of your heart again and again until the hinges loosen and the door swings more freely. You may notice that as this process unfolds, your relationships begin to shift as well. Some people will be drawn to your new softness, your emerging peace, like flowers turning toward the sun. Others may feel unsettled by your boundaries, your refusal to carry what you once did for them. Both responses are part of the rearrangement. You are no longer required to hold up worlds that were never yours to sustain. As you step out of old roles, a space opens around you, a space where healthier dynamics can emerge, where conversations can be more honest, where your needs no longer have to be buried under constant caretaking or people-pleasing. This is not selfishness. This is sacred balance. There will be moments when your old reflexes flare up, when you catch yourself bracing again, apologizing again, rushing again, judging yourself again. Do not interpret these moments as failure. Healing is not a straight line, it is a spiral. You circle back to similar themes, but each time you return, you do so with a little more wisdom, a little more compassion for yourself, a little more awareness that you have a choice. When you notice the old pattern, pause. Place a hand over your heart if possible. Feel your own warmth. Remind yourself, this reaction is old. It does not define me. I am allowed to respond differently this time. With each such pause, the grip of the past loosens another fraction. In the quiet hours, when you are alone with your thoughts, you may be tempted to replay all the ways you think you have failed. Yet even here, heaven leans close and whispers a different script. Instead of listing your failures, it recalls your endurance. It names your courage, not as loud, dramatic gestures, but as all the small, hidden choices you made to keep going, to get up, to attempt love again, to keep your heart from turning entirely to stone. The divine has not kept a record of your shame to throw it back at you. It has kept a record of your tears, your efforts, your silent prayers, your unseen kindness. None of this has been wasted. None of it has been ignored. When you lie down to sleep, let this moment become something sacred, even if it feels ordinary on the surface. Let the bed beneath you be more than a place of rest, let it be a place where you finally stop holding everything together by force. Imagine that the worries crowding your mind are not enemies you must defeat tonight, but heavy objects you have been carrying for too long. One by one, picture them being gently taken from your hands. Not ripped away. Not judged. Simply lifted with care. You do not have to solve every problem before you rest. You do not have to rehearse every possible outcome or prepare for every imagined disaster. You are allowed, right now, to say quietly to yourself, "For tonight, I surrender this. For tonight, I choose peace instead of endless problem solving." There is nothing weak about that choice. It is an act of trust, even if your voice trembles when you say it. Picture a soft light surrounding you. Not a harsh or blinding light that demands answers, but a warm, steady presence that wraps around your body like a protective blanket. This is not escapism. This is your nervous system learning that it is safe enough to loosen its grip for a while. Safety does not mean everything is fixed, it means you are not under immediate threat. As you breathe slowly, let the inhale be gentle, not forced. Let the exhale be longer, as if you are sighing out something you no longer need to carry through the night. With every exhale, imagine another strand of tension leaving your body, the tightness in your jaw, the heaviness in your chest, the buzzing behind your eyes. With every inhale, imagine new strength entering you, not dramatic strength, but quiet endurance. New calm. New hope that does not shout, but waits patiently. If your mind wanders, let it wander without scolding it. Bring it back the way you would guide a tired child back to bed, softly, without frustration. Remind yourself that rest is not a reward for having a perfect day, it is a necessity for being human. You do not need to justify your exhaustion. You do not need permission to be tired. Tonight, you are allowed to rest exactly as you are. In the days to come, practice gentleness with yourself in ways that are real and practical, not just poetic. Speak to yourself as you would to someone you deeply love who has been through more than most people know. Notice the tone you use in your own mind. If it is sharp or impatient, pause and soften it. You are not lazy for moving slowly. You are not failing because healing takes time. Offer yourself small comforts without demanding that you earn them first. Let yourself have a moment of stillness without filling it with guilt. Let yourself enjoy a warm drink without rushing. Let your body feel the air when you step outside, even if only for a few minutes. Let your eyes rest on something living, a tree, the sky, a bird, and remember that life continues gently, even when your inner world feels intense. Give yourself space to write or reflect without editing your feelings into something more acceptable. Let the truth come out messy if it needs to. You do not owe anyone a polished version of your pain. When difficult emotions rise, resist the old habit of locking them back into closets you have outgrown. Instead, give them room to breathe. Name them quietly: sadness, anger, fear, disappointment, grief. Naming them does not make them stronger, it makes them clearer. Then gently remind them, you are allowed to be here, but you no longer get to drive. This is how you honor your feelings without handing them the steering wheel of your life. There will be moments when your fear tries to tell you that what you are experiencing is punishment, failure, or collapse. It may use strong images, dramatic language, and urgent thoughts to convince you that you are being cornered by fate. When that happens, pause and remember this: you are walking through a release, not an arrest in the way your fear imagines. You are not being handcuffed by destiny, you are being unbound from what once held you in place. What feels like pressure is often the loosening of old restraints. What feels like loss is often the space being cleared for something truer. The doors that close now are not slamming shut on your future. They are sealing off corridors that would have only led you back into the same cycles of pain, the same patterns that drained you quietly over time. It is normal to grieve those doors, even when they were hurting you. Familiar pain can feel safer than unknown freedom. Let yourself mourn without interpreting the grief as a sign you made the wrong choice. Grief is not proof of failure, it is proof that you cared. The light that has entered your story is not here to interrogate you harshly or expose you for humiliation. It is here to reveal what no longer belongs to you. As it does, it may illuminate things you would rather not see all at once: old attachments, outdated beliefs, ways you learned to survive that are no longer needed. You may question yourself. You may feel unsteady, as if the ground has shifted beneath your feet. That is a natural response to change, especially change that reaches deep. But beneath all of that, something in you already knows the truth, even if it cannot fully articulate it yet. There is a quiet recognition whispering, I am being set free in ways I did not even know how to request. So let this happen. Let the turning point be what it is, without demanding that it look beautiful, productive, or heroic from the outside. Not all transformations are photogenic. Some look like rest. Some look like confusion. Some look like saying no where you once said yes. Let yourself be in process without rushing to define the outcome. Let yourself be in between without panicking that you are lost. In between spaces are not empty, they are fertile. They are where roots adjust and new directions form. Remember that the divine is not ashamed of your unfinished places. There is no disappointment hovering over your uncertainty. Heaven is not embarrassed by your mess. You are not loved only when you are calm, healed, or certain. You are loved in motion, in effort, in honesty. You are loved while learning. You are loved while resting. You are loved while changing your mind. There may be days ahead when old thoughts return and try to reclaim their authority. On those days, do not fight yourself. Simply notice, breathe, and gently re-choose. You are allowed to re-choose peace again and again. You are allowed to need reminders. Progress is not erased by a hard day. Healing is not undone by a moment of doubt. Be patient with the parts of you that are still catching up to the truth your soul already knows. As this season continues, you may notice subtle shifts rather than dramatic breakthroughs. You may find that your reactions soften before your circumstances change. You may sleep a little deeper, or breathe a little easier, or feel moments of calm arrive unexpectedly. Pay attention to those moments. They are signs that your system is learning a new language, one that does not revolve around constant alertness. Let yourself trust that something is rearranging itself beneath the surface, even when you cannot see the full picture yet. And when this particular season passes, and it will, even if it feels endless right now, you will look back from a future you cannot yet fully see. From that vantage point, the story will read differently. You will recognize that what you once feared was never an arrest at all. It was a long-awaited release. It was a careful, patient undoing of what had quietly limited you. Even the hardest parts, the moments that felt sharp or unfair, were held within a greater kindness than you could perceive at the time. For now, your only task is to stay present, to breathe, and to treat yourself with the compassion you would offer someone you love deeply. Rest when you can. Speak gently to yourself when you cannot. Trust that you are being guided, even through uncertainty. You do not have to see the whole path to take the next step. You only have to keep choosing honesty, rest, and small acts of care. Tonight, as you prepare to sleep again, return to that image of worries being lifted from your hands. Let it become a ritual, a signal to your body that it is safe to let go for a while. Let the light surround you again, steady and warm. And remind yourself, one last time before sleep takes you, I am not trapped. I am not being punished. I am being released.